Aloha, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum, Shalom, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to each and every one of you. It is our pleasure, my pleasure as always, to be here with you. I am so excited this week as always because we've been doing a series talking about soul communication and our spiritual channels, and it's my pleasure, my absolute pleasure to have my guests on again this week for week 3 of this series. But before I introduce my guests, I just want to say simply as a disclaimer, this is not about religion. It is not about Taoism. You'll hear the word Tao from time to time, but it's the source, the ultimate, the divine, God, wherever you interpret that heavenly spiritual being to be. This is not about religion. We respect your beliefs and your faith. And if you have any questions or concern and you would like to connect with us, please do at dsjshow2020@gmail.com. My name is Dianne Ojar, and I just love bringing you these stories and all these teaching and learnings and wisdom with my guests and I. So without further ado, I would love to introduce my guest, Master Marilyn Smith, and this week we're going to be talking about the third eye, which is the third of the spiritual channels. There's 4, and Marilyn will just go through them very quickly to recap, and then we will talk about the third eye. And welcome to Divine Soul Journey, Marilyn.
Thank you so much, Dianne. It is really a joy to be here. This is one of my very, very favorite topics, the spiritual journey, and the significance of the soul communication channels to help us in our spiritual journey. So let me just give a couple of sentences about what I've already talked about in
Absolutely.
the first and second part.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first part, the topic was soul language and translation. I always add that part because soul language is fabulous. It's wonderful just by itself. To benefit fully, we need to translate it. So soul language is the language of the soul world. Every soul has its own soul language, and we can connect with that as we open our spiritual channels. The first one, the foundation one, the basis, is soul language, which means that we release the language of our own soul, which is pretty amazing because most of us, as small children, learned that that was not real language. And we learned how to speak whatever the mother tongue was in our home. But actually, babies speak soul language all the time. And let me give, for those who are new to the program today, may be curious, what does soul language sound like? It sounds unlike any other language that you have heard. So let me just give you a small example. And what I'll do is I will use soul language to tell you a little bit more, and then I will translate it. So it's going to sound like talking, but many people will not be able to understand what it means.
So Marilyn, maybe we can do
Yes.
it this way. I can, some soul languages, it sounds like a song, but mine sounds, many people tell me it sounds from a different realm. So if I do my soul language, maybe you can interpret it and you how very different it is.
Sure.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So just bear with me, everyone. It may sound like I'm in a fish market, but that's basically what it is. One moment.
Dearest listeners, I am so happy to share with you, through my soul language, another piece of wisdom. Soul language carries the secrets of the soul world that can only be given through soul language. It is very pure. It does not have the meanings that the mind gives to certain words. And so you have a very pure, clear connection to wisdom. How?
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Wow, how neat.
I
That was
know.
a beautiful message, Dianne.
Thank you so much. So that's what
Yeah.
soul language is about. And when people say we speak in tongues, it really does mean something. So let's go on to the second one because we want to get to the third eye. And the second one is a direct soul communication, correct?
Correct. And so with direct soul communication, the channel, this soul communication channel opens more, and the messages from the soul world are received directly in your own language, or the language you use most of the time. And I add that because some people who have, I'm going to say, moved to an English-speaking country where I live, so they speak English most of the time, but their mother language might be something very different. And sometimes they are surprised to receive the direct message in their mother language. Sometimes they're surprised to receive it in English. So it doesn't really matter what language, as long as it's the one that you use and are comfortable with. There is no need to translate. It is direct, and that's why it's called direct soul communication.
Great.
The message comes through, it's clear, and it's in a language that you know. Yes.
So there's, in other words, there's no extra step we have to do. Whatever message wants to come through, like we are right now, it can be interpreted in soul language, but it just comes out and it flows. And that's like, when you open your mouth and things come out your mouth and you wonder where it came from. That's a combination of that and another spiritual channel. But just know that whatever you're being guided or whatever is coming out your mouth it's a different language, but just interpreted in English, Arabic, Swahili, whatever it is for the human to understand in this time. Beautiful. Now we get to the third eye. So let's talk about the third eye. Go ahead.
Dianne, I just want to add a little footnote about that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when people open their direct communication channel, they say, oh, well, I don't need soul language and translation anymore. That is really a very, very big mistake, because soul language is really, it's the foundation. But in addition to that, as I said, it's so pure. You do not need to be concerned about interference from the mind. So even after developing the ability to do direct communication, continuing with soul language and translation is essential. So I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely.
bit.
Thank you. But I believe, and this is my interpretation, they all link together. So one is not, you can't disassociate or isolate one from the other because they all are linked together. It's like you
Yes.
develop one and so forth. So I cannot see it not, you're not, oh, I don't know, if you're dismissing it or not using it, because I mean that's the way we've been taught and that's the way I see it. So my understanding, the four languages, you might be a little bit, for me, and the next show we will talk about the direct knowing channel. But in all of them, we use all the four of them together without you realizing it. Well, at least three more than probably four. The third eye is a little bit different. But again, for me, I believe we're using it all the time, all of them.
That's another topic completely.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
You can't, there's certain things you would tap into, maybe for a moment, a few seconds. But at the point in time, yes, it will all be. And we will probably follow up with that, another conversation.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
Perfect.
the third eye. So tell us about the third eye, which is the coolest one for everybody. And I believe it's also a misconception. You're misguided or misunderstood and misunderstand it because we believe it for a third eye. I know I did. And many other people I know. If your third eye is not open, you're not spiritual. You're different from the others, which is actually not true because you were just saying to me about certain things. So let's talk about the third eye. The floor is yours, Marilyn. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. And what you said is absolutely so accurate. Many people have the third eye, opening their third eye as a goal, and sort of do not pay as much attention to soul language and translation and direct communication because it's not as emotional. The emotional content is not as strong for many people, and in some ways it connects with the saying, the Chinese wisdom that says, one picture is worth 1,000 words. And I think that operates for a lot of people. So with the third eye, what is going on for people is that part of that particular energy center, which is really the pineal, in the area of the pineal gland in the brain, is active. And when it is active, images are received from the soul world. It's very important to pay attention to every single word that I said. Images. Images are received from the soul world. And those people who are listening who may not be familiar with sessions that Dr. and Master Shah has led might be inclined to think those images are the whole story. But I want to bring to everyone's attention, they are images. They're symbolic. It's not as if you're looking at a photograph that represents whatever it is that you took the photograph is. So if you took a photograph of a rose, it would be a picture of the rose, not a symbolic image. So that's a very, very essential point. And what Master Shah has everyone do when they give what the spiritual images have been that they have received through their third eye or spiritual eye, he will always ask them to do a flow. Because it is so easy to misunderstand what that image is showing us. There's huge wisdom associated with the image.
So, Marilyn, let me ask you this. If you can clarify this as we're talking about images.
We need to do a direct communication.
Okay.
We can do soul language and translation. But in order to fully benefit from that image, which again is symbolic, that's my word for it, it needs to be interpreted. Our mind will not be able to interpret it for us because it's to us on the soul level. So in order to interpret the image we receive, we must do that on the soul level. Otherwise, what happens very, very often for people who do not know this wisdom, they will give a literal interpretation to whatever image they received. And it was very interesting. Within the last couple of weeks, I have been present for many, many sessions that Master Sha has done. Many of them have been on his Facebook page. Some of them have been in a retreat. It's just been lots and lots of sessions. So I actually cannot tell you in which session it was that I heard Master Sha say this. But this is in relation to the third eye. To be able to interpret the images received without using direct communication or soul language and translation takes years and years of study because they are so symbolic. They have so much meaning. So somebody might see rainfall, and unless they do the communication to find out what does this rainfall mean, they could possibly get the idea, oh, well, the weather is changing, and there is going to be rain, and it'll be wonderful. Things will grow and flourish. Someone who did a lot of studying of Chinese wisdom and other Eastern wisdom was Carl Jung. Some people may be familiar with him,
yes,
but he was
Carl
a
Jung.
psychologist in the last century.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And he did a lot with dream work.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose rain because it's one thing that I know from what he did. I mean, I'm not an expert on Carl Jung by any manner of means, but rainfall usually meant tears.
Mm-hmm.
Whole different kind of response. And often when people would see something like that, it would be possible to, as I said, be literal. So third eye images are wonderful because they do give us pictures. And as I said before, one picture is worth 1,000 words. So we have a different connection with the soul world. It's a different way of giving us the wisdom that we need at the moment. Some people have what I call third eye on demand, which means they can ask for a third eye image and they get it. Bingo. Instantly. It's right there. And they can express it in words. There are some of us, and I'm one of those, who has third eye images when they are needed. And that, for me, has been absolutely fascinating and a source of great gratitude. often I receive third eye images as I am doing direct communication. But the images are not on demand. At this point, I cannot just sit down and say, may I please have a third eye image of the teaching that was just done. But if I need a third eye image, I receive it. And then I can do the direct communication to get the rest of the meaning of what that image is sharing with me. What is the wisdom? Because the whole point of anything we receive through our spiritual channels is it will benefit us, but the benefit to us is meant to be shared with others. It doesn't stop with us. Otherwise, we become like the Great Salt Lake here in the United States, in the state of Utah. There is a body of water called the Great Salt Lake. And there are many, many rivers that flow into this lake. But it has no outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not living water. The salt content is so high that nothing can live in that lake. And you can't really even swim in it because the salt content is so high. We do not want to be a great salt lake. So whatever benefit we receive, the purpose of it is to help us in our spiritual journey so we, in turn, can help others. And this is true for third eye images also. Yes, Diane.
Thank you. So 2 questions, and you could answer them how you choose. So with the flow. Flow basically means you do a reading when it just comes out in a natural flow. Interpretation. 1, when you're sleeping and you're dreaming, that's the first question. Is that considered your third eye opening? And second of all, the other thing is, in order for you to have a third eye, you have to have a very, it uses a lot of energy. So you have to have a very strong foundation, because you can deplete your energy and then you could feel drained and you don't understand what's going on. You can get sick. Is that correct? Or maybe you can interpret
Absolutely.
it. Because most people also, for the dream part of it, want people not to dismiss dreams. I used to have dreams bang on when I was growing up. Of course, what was I going to tell, right? So I knew when I got pregnant, I knew I was having a girl. I was seeing my daughter at the time as a baby. When I conceived the baby in a friend of ours, it was like a big brother wrapped in the cemetery. And I just knew I was pregnant. Now, it's not to get scared about the cemetery. It's the fact that, it's symbolic. I knew it was a girl. That was basically what it is. So at the end of the day, that didn't really scare me whatsoever. But dreams are also visions of third eye as well. Maybe you can clarify. I mean, that's my interpretation. But maybe you can clarify that for us, as well as how much energy that goes into this work.
Okay. How about if I start with the second question first?
Whatever you like.
Yeah. What you said is absolutely so important. Having a strong foundation is the safe way to open your third eye. And the reason I say safe is just exactly what you said. You will not damage your health. Because, yes, it does take an enormous amount of energy to have to receive third eye images. And the energy needs to come from someplace inside of the person. It's got to come from someplace, If the foundation is not strong, really, really strong and powerful, it will drain one or another of our organs. a lot of people do not know this, and they will really focus on opening the third eye or the spiritual eye, however you refer to it, and then end up feeling drained or having some kind of health condition. It's not immediate. Nothing is immediate. But over time, maybe their immune system will become very compromised. Other kinds of health issues will become part of who they are, and that is 100% not necessary. The first thing to do for a person who wants to have their third eye more open, or to have it open more consistently, is to have a strong foundation, which is, for the third eye, it is what Master Sha calls the Snow Mountain area, which is often called the Kundalini. But it's to really have a strong foundation, you also need a strong lower dantian. And that is the energy center about, I'm going to use inches. It's about an inch below the navel and about 2 inches in. It's the size of your fist. And that energy center is amazing. It does many, many things, but some of them, the ones that are most significant in this conversation, are, it is the energy center for, well, number one, energy, stamina, vitality, immunity. It is the postnatal energy center. It's the one that we use all day long, every day. Even if we're just sitting, relaxing, we are still using energy, and we are using it from the lower dantian. So it's really important that we are continually filling it up. Here in the West, we say, when people get older and they develop aches and pains and this, that, and the other thing, the usual response is, well, that's part of the aging process. And that's true. It is part of the aging process for many of us, because we don't know about the lower dantian. We don't know that we can keep our energy up, our stamina, our vitality, have a strong immune system. There are so many autoimmune conditions because we don't know about the lower dantian, and that we can do something about these conditions. So this energy center is a vital one for our foundation. And the one directly connected with the third eye is often referred to as Kundalini. Master Sha also calls it third eye. And that is more or less in front of the tailbone. It's that area, more or less. And that energy center, to me also, is astounding. It is the energy source for our kidneys, our brain, the third eye, and it is the starting point for the 4 main meridians in our body, and it is the prenatal energy point. When years ago, before I knew Master Sha, I went with my sister, who was a Qigong master and healer, Patricia, and when we would go to these events, many of the Qigong teachers would say, the energy that you are born with that's it. That's what you're going to have for life. And I used to think to myself, oh, good grief, I had so many, things, allergies, et cetera, that I had inherited. And I thought, oh, my goodness, this does not sound too encouraging. But by increasing our Kundalini energy, those things can be reversed. Currently, most of those allergies that I had no longer exist.
I just want to add something before we go on. We talk a lot about traditional Chinese medicine, the different interpretations about masters, gurus, and so forth. But there's certain cultures, like as well. When they talk about the Kundalini, think of it at the tailbone, like the spine, like a snake, and it's like an opening. It's like a invisible opening at the very bottom of the tailbone. It's and that's what it is. And many people associate it with, I believe, it's like fire and so forth to interpret that because and there's different practice and techniques and so forth. But it's very important to people to understand a lot of this that we're talking about. You can go and research it yourself. If you have questions, please contact us. But the other side of that too is I remember when I started with coming to the organization, and that was what everybody wanted, third eye to open it. And it got to a point, and I know my girlfriend was the same way. She said, but my third eye is open. I can't see, I can't feel. And I'm very sensitive to when we get blessings. I could feel it all over my body. But she can't. So she used to get frustrated that she couldn't see or she couldn't feel. And she kept saying, well, my third eye is not open. And you hear everybody talking about their visions and their third eye open. And I reached a point that when I realized, and then I heard saying, you have to have a very strong foundation and so forth. The energy, you have to build that up. You have to build that up. And I was like, okay, no, this is not working because my focus was all, as you said before, was always on this because this is what we've been told. Or being conditioned to say, yes, your third eye, and you hear all these incredible things. But once I released it and I didn't bother with it anymore, and seriously, I did not put the focus on it, meaning that this is the reason why I'm here and this is what I want. The rest fell into place even stronger. My direct knowing channel, the other channels, other things came into place. So what I'm saying is, it's not the end of the world. You have other abilities and gifts and talents. Focus on that. Once you focus on those, the rest will follow. The third eye will follow when it's time for it to open. And you have to also, from my understanding, have to know how to control it. Because if you don't open and close it, because I know people who gotten cancer, I mean, the cancer has gone now in a month and a half when we work with them, but they didn't realize this. I said you have to control it. You have to shut it down when you have to and open it like you said before, because it will drain and suck the life out of you without you even knowing this. Because I would walk into a room and this one particular friend, she would just start talking about the aura and start seeing. And it made me kind of uncomfortable because there's certain things that you don't want people to see. And that's because she was using her third eye 24/7 without even knowing it.
Yeah. Also, there is a protocol. If a person has not asked for the information that you receive, do not share it.
Absolutely.
Because they may not be ready.
Absolutely. I know that. I experienced that.
Yeah.
And it made me very uncomfortable until eventually I said to her when she started to, make some changes in her life. And I said, yes. Once, the cancer was gone, like a month and a half, we did a lot of work with her. I did a lot of work with her. And then I said, no, you have to stop when people walk into a room, stop telling them, oh, I see this, I see it, all right, so forth, because it was actually making her sick. Making me uncomfortable and making her sick.
You also have to consider the person did not ask. It's almost like an invasion of privacy to tell someone what you have seen about the inner workings of their soul, and they didn't even ask you. Oh my goodness, that is not appropriate.
Well, that's karma. That's karma on your side too, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. That's your karma. You have to ask permission, and also, time goes by so fast. In terms of the dreams, when we dream, how do you interpret that in regards to, your interpretation to the third eye and in whichever realm we're in? And some people dismiss it. There was a time when I used to dream things, my sister would say, don't call, because I would ask, okay, who's sick, this. And then there was a time I couldn't remember any dreams. And now as I'm going through my Guanyin certification, and that's a whole other story, and a lot of transition people. Not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I most remember the dreams, but I know there's a reason why they're coming in. And in the behind the scenes, we don't have to remember everything. We just have to know that we have angels, we have souls, we have our heavenly beings. Whether you believe this or not, we're not here to convince you whatsoever. But they're there for a reason. A consciousness, to bring something to the consciousness, maybe for a moment. Maybe you can add more to that.
The dreams are different because what is received absolutely is from the soul world, no doubt, but the level of consciousness is very different. When we talk about third eye images, we're talking about those images we receive from the soul world, that we are fully awake and fully conscious. And we receive this wisdom through this particular channel. Sleeping is a different experience altogether. And that would be a great program also, because it's amazing. Sleeping is so much more than just closing your eyes and waiting for the alarm clock to go off. But the dreams that we receive can be interpreted the same way a third eye image is interpreted, through direct communication.
Absolutely. Like you were speaking about Carl Jung. I mean, I studied Carl Jung when I was doing my NLP certification in hypnotherapy. So yes, what I wanted to bring across to the audience, again, talking about the wisdom and the teachings and learnings, there is no right or wrong, and there's no black or white. You may hear the same thing from different cultures. You can hear it differently from, the traditional Chinese, person, Hindu, the Sanskrit. You go to different temples, different organizations, maybe Sufism, Hinduism, all the isms, and you will hear the same. It's pretty much the same thing, but interpret a little bit differently. So I'm not here to dismiss anyone for the understanding. I'm just saying be open to how other things are being interpreted. Because the modalities that we have, when I work with a client and I speak to a client, I use all the modalities I have, not only one. And this is what we need to do. So I would say to everyone, educate yourself. Be open to the teachings and learnings from all different cultures and backgrounds. You may hear Marilyn say something, but then you may hear somebody else say something, and another teacher says something, another guru. It's the same thing we're talking about, however slightly different interpretations, that is. Was that correct or not?
And that is basically I would say, a summary of Master Sha's teaching of oneness. The thing of it is, we don't want to live life in a smorgasbord. It's good to have a main approach, whatever it is. I know that I listen. My whole background is Catholic, and it's just it's cellular. It's the context that I use to approach life. However, I am a very committed student of Master Sha. And what I have discovered is that those principles that I grew up with from infancy in my family and then all the way through are magnified and clarified and brought to a new level of understanding through the teachings of Master Sha. And many people from various traditions who are students of Master Sha have said the exact same thing. They have a much deeper appreciation of their own tradition through the wisdom of Master Sha. So exactly, it's all one. So the wisdom I received through my training, my upbringing, is the same. There's only one truth. If we have 2 or 3 different truths, there's something wrong with that picture. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you 2 examples. The same girlfriend I was telling you about with the cancer, she became a Tao Hands practitioner again. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything we do, but just know that if you want to know more, I am saying it saved my life. It saved Marilyn's life, and I'm open to everything. But coming back to her, she was a Reiki master, her mom, and so forth. And when she realized how we helped her, she wanted to learn more. But what happened was, when she took the training, that was one of the trainings Master Sha had actually. Master Sha is a very unique being. Okay, I'm not even here to convince you about that, but that's you really need to know. And there's many powerful teachers there, but I've never met anyone like him. Anyway, coming back to Nicolette, and Nicolette has been on the show talking about this. And when she did the training, I thought she would have been, didn't understand it. And he was talking about the one, because his training was different to when I got my certification and my transmission. And he started talking about the Tao science and the quantums, science and the oneness. And she was fascinated. She loved it. And again, now she's interpreting it differently. The same training we had, what a good friend of mine, she's a pastor, she's been here on the show as well. And she was, I'm going to say she was lost in a sense. She was frustrated, her congregation. And, we've had many conversations. We'll be doing some stuff together soon. Many conversations, very open. She'll always be checking up on me. She's like a prophecy. She's a prophet. What do you call it? Prophetess. Anyway, she prophesizes things. Anyway, but what happened was, and she would be talking to her congregation, but she always knew something was different. She wasn't that same particular training. He doesn't do all the trainings for this particular Tao Hands practitioner certification, but this particular one he did. And she was fascinated because she would talk and she will say things and she would say, amen, 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 to everything she says, everything. From that day, she stopped doing that. And what she said to me was, she see things differently. She was using words that she didn't know why she was using it, like energy, vibration. She didn't understand it. She did not understand. I have to connect you both. Her name is Catherine McHale. And she's been on the show, and I'll be bringing her back soon again because she's evolved so much since. And until she started, and she always calls me everything. I said, what do you think about this? And what do you think about this? And I'm planning to do this. And, may I just say what I have to say? So what she did was she started not preaching. She started teaching the wisdoms because now she understood the scripture and the Bible that she used, and she stopped saying the amen, amen, and she stopped. People started to listen on. So after she have a service on Sunday, true story. After she have a service on Sunday, she will stay on and say who would like to listen, and she start sharing teachings and wisdom, not preaching, because you can be taught how to read the Bible in theology and just go and read a sermon and so forth. But this is not what she was doing anymore. Now she has a different congregation. Now they're even paying to be in her group, because I keep saying, you know what? It can't be a charity. She said, no. Why would you go on? If you come here and you eat for free and you go across the street and pay, and people are now, because we'll be doing something together very soon, and they are willing to now pay for the teachings and the learnings, and be as opposed to the preaching. And she understood the scripture on a deeper level.
That's perfect. That's exactly what a perfect example of what I was saying and what you said earlier. Perfect.
Yeah. And again, I'm here to say to everyone, I my in-laws are Muslim, and there's the religion, and then there's the teachings and the spiritual side. Every religion has a spiritual side to it. And the teachings, religion is more, and I'm saying this openly, I'm not here to offend anyone. Religion is where you're being spoken to. I'm going to put it that way. That's the way. My father was not a minister, but he became an elder, and you could just read something. You go to church, and this happened to me. This is why I'm saying this. You go to church, and the minister, reverend, pastor, priest, they say what they have to say, and then you go home, and that's it. With this, and it's true, right? Until the next Sunday. I'm telling you my life, okay? That's it. And they go and they have coffee after, and then that's it, and you don't worry about it. And some people go to Bible school and study and so forth. But if you don't, as the leader, understand the true meaning to interpret the words, like, for example, one of the big ones for me was the I am that I am. So someone was doing a reading for me. Nivavita, you know Nivavita, of course. And Nivavita was doing a flow for me, a reading, and she said, this is what you say. I am that I am. They added another that in there. This is what was given to her to give to me. So I am that I am. I am God's light. And that's what the message was sent to me to say. So now I tell everyone that. And the I am that I am, people don't understand they're their own God and Goddess. And they have the ability to do whatever they wish and choose to do. It's like a canvas. And the I am that I am is like me. Here I am, divine God, heavenly being, source. Here I am. I am your light, is the way I interpret it. So all these things, and I've said that to some, I was doing a session for a vision board for the youth in Nigeria. And this young man asked me that question because I had said it and they was repeating it. And he said, I have a question. I said, who have questions? And then he said that because they've been taught in the Bible, everything is black and white. And when I explained it to him, it was like a light bulb went out. And there was hope. And they saw it differently. Not yet to convince them. And again, it just saw that they mean something now. So this is all I'm saying here. Simple things, pastors, people who very educated people, very spiritual people, are seeing things differently once you understand. You don't have to understand everything. You just have to understand a few things that will open up to the consciousness is what you're saying and what we're saying. So I urge everyone, just be open-minded and start Googling everything you could find because there's so much interpretations, and read it and see what resonates from you or with you, and you take bits and pieces to make up the puzzle of what your life or your journey is, or how you resonate with it. Please do go ahead as we wrap up here on Divine Soul Journey with Marilyn Smith. Go ahead, Marilyn. Just briefly, what is your thoughts about that?
Well, it's pretty much what I said already. It's wonderful to explore other possibilities. Eventually, it's important to connect with what is going to be most beneficial in your own soul journey. And the way that we know that is what is benefiting our physical life, emotional life, mental life, our finances, our relationships, and really develop that particular approach in a way that is inclusive and in a way that there is respect and reverence for other approaches. But I honestly do from my own experience and the experience of others that I have done consultations for. The importance of a main path is something that sometimes is overlooked. And I'm thinking of someone in particular who's relatively new to the spiritual life. That's the way we usually. and is learning this and this and this and this and this and this and this, but feels scattered. So learning is good, but at some point it's important to connect with our own soul, heart, mind, energy, and recognize the one that is the greatest benefit in our own lives. Develop that, but develop that in a way that would be respectful and honoring of other approaches, realizing that we really cannot say this is the only way. It is the way for me, but someone else's life obviously is very different from mine. And I would love as many people to treasure what I treasure, but that may not be their path, you know? So honoring and respecting each person's path is essential. It is vital. In fact, it's an integral part of honoring your own path. And that might be like a litmus test. If we truly, truly honor our own path, we are able to honor the path that others choose. Which I think basically is another way of saying what you have said and what I said earlier.
Absolutely. How can we find you, Marilyn? How if someone wants to connect with you, to join with some of your programs that talking about soul communication, how can they connect with you?
Well, I have a Facebook page, Marilyn Smith, WWR. And to connect with me directly, the best way at the moment is through my email, marilyn.smith@drshaw.com. Or if people want to phone me, they can do that too, and leave a message.
Absolutely. Well, you don't need to put your phone number in this. This is going all over the world. The email is probably best to the page.
Okay.
Social media as well. And that's Smith, which is SMITH Smith. So
yes.
I want to thank you so much, Marilyn, for spending this time.
Well, it's been a delight to be on this program with you. I love it.
Yeah, we have one more to go.
Great.
You know, one of the things, in just closing, I want to thank you so much. I recently started a series called Live Your Truth and Love Your Passion. That's a topic I was doing, was Reclaim Your Power, Love Your Passion. And one of the sessions was Living Your Truth. And it's the same thing, living your truth. What is your truth? You're seeking for your truth. Be open, be honest with yourself. The worst thing you could do is lie to yourself. That would be, and here's a funny thing about that. You lie to yourself, you lie to everyone. And soon I will be talking about something like this. Living your truth or speaking your truth versus speaking your mind. Whatever comes out your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You want to speak you speak from your heart, not from your mind, and that's a whole nother story. So
Absolutely.
Be truthful to So be truthful to yourself. You cannot go out there and open your mouth if you're lying to yourself, if you're not truthful to yourself, if you're not being honest with yourself. If you know that they have in the back of your mind, and I will tell you something that happened to me, is the fact that I didn't go looking for this. The girlfriend who led me to the center, I don't even know where she is anymore. And she's like an angel.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where she is. I cannot find her. I cannot locate her. No idea. I know she was a lawyer. She was very sick, I believe. She had some issues. I don't know. But here's the thing. I'm not attached to it because she was there to lead me to this. And I was 6 years before I decided to really go back. You will be led in the strangest places. All I ask of you is to be open-minded, because you really don't know who that angel is holding your hand next to you. You don't know
Yes.
where that would lead you to. You don't know how things are there for you. You don't have to go looking for it. It will draw you. I say that because it happened to me. I say that because it
Yes.
happened to Marilyn. And I'm telling you, when I look back now, I don't even know what I would have been doing or where I would have been. But I could tell you one thing. I certainly would have been talking about this, and I'm pretty much sure my frame of mind would not be exactly where it is today. I'm much calmer, much more patient. My relationships is getting better. All the noise and drama is disappearing around me, from physical things, emotional things, people, all those things. So just be open-minded and don't focus too much on one thing. And with your third eye, my third eye is not open. But here's the thing, I'm not stressing myself out in it anymore. It's not. When I know it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Please do listen to yourself. Don't beat up yourself. Love yourself. Appreciate yourself, and yourself, which is your soul, your heart, your mind, your energy, and your body, will give you exactly what you gave it. Love it, and it will send you back love. On that note, this is Dianne Ojar and Marilyn Smith on Divine Soul Junior. Until next time, aloha. Namaste. Sitaram. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And the music you're listening to is a very powerful, powerful song that has a lot of energy and vibration. This is what it's all about. It's very healing. So I welcome you to join us next time, where we will have Marilyn back talking about the direct knowing channel. I can't wait for that one. That's the one that fascinates me the most, because that's the one I probably understand a bit better more than all of them. So until next time, have an awesome day, and thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.